Whether you're teaching English or asking students to read something in the content area or discipline you teach, it can be hard to get students motivated about reading. Not everyone wants to work quietly on their own. And so one thing we can do is make reading social. And this motivates and engages students. And it also pushes their learning farther with the critical thinking they do during the discussion and engaging activities of these three strategies we'll talk about today. My name's Erin Lebax. We're going to look at three fun and easy ways to make reading social so that your students will suddenly be asking to read, volunteering to read aloud, looking up vocab words on their own because they're curious. The three activities or strategies are popcorn reading, jigsaws, and sequences. Let's get right into the first one. I'll walk through all three with examples. Popcorn reading is something we can use for reading aloud. We would do this when everyone has a copy of the same text. We're all at the same place following along, but instead of having the teacher read aloud, we do popcorn reading where different students can pop up like popcorn and read a sentence, a paragraph, a word, whatever they're comfortable with. So what I do is I make sure everyone has the reading, and then I start and I read about the first paragraph. Then I pause and wait for someone to pop in. And students choose if they want to read aloud, when they want to read aloud, and for how long they want to read aloud. It's fun and unpredictable, so everyone pays attention thinking, who's going to read next? I want to hear my friend reading. Or they might think, maybe I'm going to take a chance, practice this reading aloud. So to keep it low stress, I like to read whenever no one else is reading. So as we go through the document, if there's a pause and no student steps in, I'll step in again and read a little bit just to keep things comfortable and easy and to keep that collaborative spirit. And then a student will pop back in again. So you can see in the images here, students reading different parts according to their choice. And we're all going through the materials together. This works on reading, speaking, and vocabulary. A couple of things to consider. Try to avoid stress for students. And so that's why I'll just say, oh, no problem. If you're done reading, I'll read for a little while, and then we'll see who wants to read next. But most often, you have people waiting, ready to read, waiting until another student pauses so it's their turn because they get excited. Students can start and stop when they choose. They read the length they feel comfortable with. I encourage students even try one sentence just to practice reading aloud. You can do this, of course, different ways. You would choose the right text for your student level, but you might even change the plans a little. I like to not assign who will read and let it be unpredictable who will read next, because then other students get excited about that. But there are other options too. Maybe you think it would work better with your students to plan ahead and assign everyone which sentence or paragraph they'll read, and then they can pop up and read it when we get there. Or you might let them practice a little if you have beginner students. Or some people add a fun twist where after a student finishes reading the sentence or paragraph they chose to read, they actually call on another student and that person goes next. And then at the end of theirs, they call on someone and that person goes next. You can imagine how everyone is paying attention because they have to make sure they know where we are if they get called on. If you don't like that kind of stress and you like the unpredictability, let people read when they choose to. Everyone will still pay attention because it's still mysterious and exciting to see who will read next. All right, let's move on to jigsaws. This is not for a situation where we're all reading a text aloud. This is a situation for students to read in groups, but it also includes teaching each other what they read, where we bring in collaboration, speaking, paraphrasing. Lots of skills in a jigsaw. Students love this one. I've used it mostly with the high school level, but it works great for college and it works great for younger students as well. We just choose the text that's right for them. With jigsaw reading, we have 3 rounds. You have students at tables in what I call a home group, the group they'll be with at the beginning and the end. We all get a text, but not everyone will read the whole text. You're only going to read one part. So round 1, we start in the groups and I tell students, hey, number off 1, 2, and 3. Our text has 1, 2, 3 parts. You're each only going to read your part or section. You don't have to read the whole thing because they'll learn about the whole text from each other. So let's look at a couple of general guidelines and then I'll walk through with pictures the 3 rounds a little bit better. Everyone has the text. Students will read with their expert group during round 2, which they'll then explain the part they read to their home group in round 3. Each student reads only one part, but they learn about the whole text because the other people in their home group went to different expert groups and they come back and explain to their home group people. So this involves a lot of moving around the classroom, which is great for keeping things energized. So round 1, students go to their home groups and all they do is decide who will read section 1, section 2, and section 3. Pretty quick meeting in the first home group. Then we go to the expert groups. So out of all the home groups, everyone sends their number 1 person here for part 1, number 2s meet here for part 2, number 3s meet here for part 3. You tell them where to go, they reorganize so that in the expert group they have someone from all the home groups and then they study that paragraph or that section, whatever you assigned them. I like to suggest that students create a summary of the part they read to share with their home group when they get back, which is round 3. So round 3, we all go back to our home groups. Each of us is now an expert in either part 1, 2, or 3. And then in the home groups, we have students first, the part 1 person explains what they read, part 2, part 3. You can imagine there's a lot of curiosity by this point because students have only read one section. They need to know what's in the other sections to totally understand the reading. And when we pick an interesting reading, they get very curious about it. So some things to consider with jigsaws. Your home group, put the same number of people as you have sections of the text. I like to divide a text or a chapter or even a page into 3 parts and have 3 people in my home group, 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C. The expert groups then, they'll include someone from each home group. All the number 1s get together, all the 2s, all the 3s. Give the expert group a task. What you want is for them to read and understand their section and be able to explain it to their home group members when they get back. So usually I'll say, write a 1 or 2 sentence summary, find a new vocabulary word, or something like that. Then we get back to round 3 and everyone shares what they know. And now we really see, why is this called a jigsaw, like a jigsaw puzzle? The whole reading is like the puzzle, but each of us brings one piece. Each student brings one piece. By the end of round 3, they understand the whole puzzle, even though they only read one part. You can imagine this creates a lot of deep reading and a lot of collaboration, a lot of paraphrasing skills and explaining skills as well. All right, third one, sequences. Creating a variety of scenes that show what happened in a reading. I like to use this with fiction. You could also use it with nonfiction to be teaching information, though. So what we do is we give students a part of the text, and they're in groups, and we say, hey, your job is to take what you see in this text and create 4, 3, 5, however you decide, scenes from the text. And you can do this in a variety of ways. For students who are nervous with speaking, I might have the group create a comic strip, and it's all drawing, and they can put in dialogue for the characters, but they don't have to speak it if we're at a beginning level and we really just want to focus on the reading. So they can create a comic strip of scenes of what happens in the part of the reading that their group was assigned. Another way to do it, you can have them act out the scenes briefly, if for students who are ready for speaking. A third way to do it that I like to do, I call pop comics. Basically, it's a comic strip, but with students holding the poses that the characters in the comic would have. I would even have them create a little sign with their dialogue. And then when you perform, the students get up there, you turn out the lights, you turn on the lights, they're in their first pose of their first scene. You turn off the lights, you turn on the lights, they're in their second pose of the next scene, etc. Meanwhile, other students are watching thinking, I know which part of the book this is. I can tell by the scene that they're performing. So for example, you might say, hey, your group, you're doing pages 32 to 34. We would like to see one scene per page. Choose what's the most important thing that happens on that page and either draw that, act it out, or pose like it, however you're choosing to do your drawn or your live comic strip. So a couple things to consider. Assign groups certain pages or paragraphs and tell them how many scenes you'd like to see. Those will become the squares in the comic, or possibly the scenes that they act out if you do like a live comic. Students can share the scenes through drawing or acting. They can add dialogue in the drawing. They can hold up signs of dialogue if you're doing the posing, the pop comics, where they are a still comic scene, right? And to increase participation among students who are watching, if you do have them do it in front of the room, I like to have students write down what they think is happening in the scene, what they think, which part of the book is this, right? That keeps those students actively participating as well, and then we can discuss at the end of each scene. All right, so I would love to hear how it goes for you if you try one of these strategies, or maybe you've tried them before and you have a tip to share. Please let us know how it's gone for you, what tips you have, and consider trying, if you haven't, popcorn reading when you're reading all together as a group aloud, jigsaws when you're dividing a bigger reading into smaller parts and having students learn one part and then teach each other, or sequences when you're using something like a comic to summarize a reading that we've all done. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll get right back to you, and thank you so much for watching.